What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Fit Women's Weekly podcast. I'm really excited today with my guest. I am joined today by three-time CrossFit Games athlete Ellie Turner. Ellie's going to get really personal. We're going to share her journey with overcoming a severe ED. We're going to talk about her having an injury in the middle of her third CrossFit Games appearance. What did that journey coming out of that injury lead her to learn about herself? How did she do it? Because I think this is a really important lesson, whether you're a professional athlete or not. When things don't go your way, how do you overcome those things? How do you come back stronger, and what do you learn from the journey? And she breaks it all down from us. I love this conversation, and I know that you guys are going to enjoy it too. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below of who you would like to see on the Fit Women's Weekly podcast. All right, let's go grab Ellie and get into this episode. What's happening?
Nothing. I just spilt my coffee everywhere.
Oh.
So that was a super good start. But just finished some training and now I'm pretty much done for the day, which is nice.
Oh, nice. Do you guys normally have a lighter day on Thursday, or you normally have a lighter day on Thursday?
Yeah. Yeah. Thursdays is usually like just conditioning. It's either like running, swimming, biking, that sort of thing.
The normal stuff. How's the weather there? You guys freezing?
Yeah, it's cold, but this week has actually been really nice and sunny, which I don't mind. I actually prefer like it cold like this and sunny than not as cold and then like gray and miserable.
Gray and miserable is absolutely the worst. We've had the worst winter ever where it's just gray and cold, and that I'm in South Carolina, and so we're not used to that kind of crap.
No.
How was it adjusting back from being in Australia for a couple of weeks and then coming back to the States?
I was so jet lagged coming back.
Oh yeah.
And I'm usually okay. I'm honestly like when I go to Australia, I get there, I have like my little ritual that I do. Like I go take a beach walk or like jump in the ocean, and it usually like sets me up pretty well. And then coming back, it's like a little bit hit and miss. Usually the first 2 days I'm pretty groggy. But this time I was like waking up at 12, like going to sleep, like literally having to hold my eyes open at like 7 p.m.
Wanted to go to sleep. Stay on like a normal routine.
Yeah. Then I'd wake up at 12, be awake till like 3 a.m. and then like want to sleep in till like 12. Like it was just all over the shop, but I like made myself stick to like my normal sleep schedule. I was just a little bit sleep deprived. I don't know if it's because like this time when we like came back, it was like middle of winter and the sun goes down at 5 and then doesn't come up until 8:30. So it's like a little bit weird.
That's probably part of it. And I wonder if we're already recording. So like I said in our email, like it's just chit chat. I'm Kindal, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So for people listening, because I know it's like a 24-hour travel to get over there. Do you think it's easier travel wise to go like forward in time than it is to go backwards in time?
For me personally, yes. But I don't know if it's because like I grew up on that time zone, so I naturally like
it's like stuck in you.
Yeah. I also heard something that it's easier for women to go east and it's easier for men to go west.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me for some reason, but I would like to know the science behind that.
Yeah, but like I'm the opposite.
I thought you were going to say it's easier for women to just deal with jet lag better. And I was like, probably because in our biology, we have to wake up with, we're probably better at adapting to less sleep.
Yeah. No, I was listening to a podcast with Stacey Sims.
Yeah.
And she obviously is like the guru in all things like women's health and women's physiology. And yeah, that's what she was saying. And I forget like the reasoning behind it, but that's what she said. And I like it stuck in my mind because I am the opposite, but then I'm probably also a little bit biased because that is my like natural time zone.
Right. Like but I wonder if that's coming from, again, like I was a science major, so like this kind of stuff is super interesting to me, as you,
Yeah.
'cause you're a physiotherapist. Um, but also, you know how like things in the southern hemisphere are different than northern hemisphere. So she's speaking from somebody who is this side of the world, whereas I
Hmm.
wonder if it has anything to do with southern versus northern hemisphere, and maybe most people from Australia or New Zealand also are like you.
Yeah. And I actually had this conversation with Justin the other day where we sort of have like super random, weird conversations sometimes.
That's any
And
couple for sure.
yeah, I was sort of saying, I'm like, you know how like birds and things like migrate through like magnetic fields and like they don't need direction, like they just naturally like will
They just
migrate
know,
some.
right?
Yeah. I was like, do you think that's the same with like people and they have places that are just naturally like they're meant to be, you
I
know?
would think, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm from Charleston, but I don't feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. If that makes like
Mm,
just something in my soul is like my husband and I are getting ready to move out west in the next year or so, just because I feel like that's where my people are. That's where I'm
yeah.
drawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. Something it's I mean, it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And I
Yeah.
think that that's just a normal part of being in a couple where you have those conversations that when you tell it to anybody else, they're like, what the hell are you guys doing at nighttime?
Yeah. I mean, like, because then it's also like, well, I grew up by the ocean. So do I love the ocean because of that? Or am I like an ocean person?
Mhm.
Because, like, since being in Idaho, obviously we're in like mountainous
Right.
area. And I also love the mountains. So I'm like, maybe if I grew up here, I'd be more of like a mountain person, less of an ocean person. But I
So
don't know.
interesting fun fact of that, I'm also a beach person. I am from the beach. That's where my city is. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Charleston,
Yeah.
but I'm from Charleston. So, but I'm a mountain person. I love the beach and when I'm out there I'm like, wow, I feel so blessed to be here. But if you were to ask me where my heart is, that's why we're moving out to the mountains is because of me.
Huh.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know how all that stuff works.
Are you
But
moving? Are you moving like west or like?
like hopefully Colorado West.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but we've actually have considered just because you never know what is happening in one state from one year to the next. So we're
Yeah.
like, well, what if we go to Colorado and we're not happy? We have considered Idaho too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you guys like it out there?
Yeah. I mean, I really like it. It's definitely different to what I'm used to, like in Australia. But the people honestly remind me of like back home. Like everyone's super friendly, very like laid back vibes.
Mhm.
And then there's some like beautiful areas as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's some amazing hikes, and the people I have heard are
Yeah.
very generous.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good.
Well, talking a little bit about Australia, let's rewind a couple of years. So you went to the CrossFit Games in 21, 22, 23.
Mm-hmm.
23, not the best of times. And we'll talk about
Yeah.
that because I do think it's so important to talk. I get questions all the time of like, when you have an injury, how do you handle it? Not only physically, but more mentally. And my first question to you, though, is I'm not going to do the typical question that people ask of what was your first CrossFit workout? I want to know what was your mentality of going, I want to try this thing out because we all have different, when we start our fitness journeys at one time or another, we all have a different story. Like for me, when I was 20 years old, I had gained 40 pounds and I was like, I need to get into a workout routine to lose that weight. That's what started the whole journey. And then it changed over time as to why now 20 years later, I'm still doing that. So what was your like why initially to even like get into a regular routine?
Um, my answer might be a little bit different to most people, but so I've always been really big into sports, like team sports growing up. And when I started at university, I was doing like physical therapy or physiotherapy. And that was a really intense degree. I couldn't really make trainings for team sports happen, like just around the craziness of university at that time. And I'm also a perfectionist and I wanted to get high distinctions in all of my subjects. So I was definitely putting in a lot more time. And I so I wasn't doing any of my like usual sports anymore. So I just started at a regular Globo gym, and I would go do like a 2 hour session. I've always been like more is better.
Sure. Which
Yeah.
comes back to kick us all in the butt eventually.
Yeah. And I was just going to like a local gym, and uh after, like going to university and then after school, I like a lot of people from my high school started to go there. And I didn't have the best time at school, not like bullying or anything like that. I just had I had a very severe eating disorder going through like high school and middle school. Um and so everyone that I went to school with knew me as that. And I was trying to make a fresh start.
Oh boy.
And then all these people from school started to go to the same gym as me. And I was like, oh, this is just like my safe place. Like, I don't want to have to deal with all of this. And then I went, just a random person that I was talking to recommended CrossFit to me. They were like, I think you would really like that, like coming from a competitive sports background and all of that. And I was like, being at university for like physiotherapy, we had been fed all this information about CrossFit. And I was like, nah, like, I don't know if I like it or not. Um, and then I drove past a gym, and it was a CrossFit gym. And there was all these guys out the front, and they all had their tops off. And I was like, damn, like there's a lot of ripped guys over there.
And for like a
Um,
22-year-old, you're probably like, oh my
yeah.
God.
I was like, maybe I can try CrossFit. So I ended up going in. I didn't love it at first because the coach there coached me really well and wouldn't let me like add weight to my bar and try handstand push-ups when I couldn't really do a like very good push-ups and like things like that. So he coached me really well, but I was frustrated because I wanted to do it all. So I ended up doing one class, leaving for about a month until I was just like really sick and tired of the Globo gym. And then I was like, nope, I'm going to go back. I'm going to do it. Went back to the CrossFit gym, and then just like the rest is history, really. Like I just love the competitiveness, loved feeling strong, loves like trying to get to the next progression.
Mhm.
And then I started competing pretty much maybe like 6 months after I started CrossFit, and the rest is sort of history.
Now, you mentioned you've led on, and I don't know if I'm sure I have not heard every single podcast that you've ever done, but I read your posts, I follow you, and you've led on a couple of times about having a eating disorder and shared some pictures. So,
Mm-hmm.
first off, I'm really loving the fact that you're starting to open up and share a little bit about that. And I wasn't going to bring it up unless you kind of opened the door, and you did say the word. So, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay. Did you ever, first off, how was your journey to recovery with that? And did you feel like CrossFit at first, at least, was that helping you to recover? Or did you ever have to kind of have that mindset going in of like, I'm not going to let this pull me back into that mentality?
To be honest, I was sick for a long time, and I was like in and out of hospitals. Like I pretty much didn't do like year 8 or year 9 at school. I was just in hospital like the whole time. And the doctors had pretty much like prepared my family and be like, this is probably like something that Ellie's going to have to deal with for life. Like it's got a pretty good hold on her, and um she's been suffering for 8 years now. Like it's going to be like a lifelong battle. And I'd sort of accepted that a little bit. And
I'm so sorry because that is as someone who has also dealt with that,
yeah,
it sucks to
it's
accept it.
yeah. And then I started CrossFit, and I pretty much had recovered. And like I still dealt with like the mental side of it, but like physically and like my ability to just like change courses was pretty remarkable, I would say. Within 6 months, I was recovered. And I think that just goes to like show, and like I didn't realize it at the time, but now looking back, it just goes to show like how strong my mind could be of like, no, I don't want that anymore. Like I want to be a CrossFit athlete and this is what I have to do. So like I have
It's
to
the
eat.
all or right, the all or none
Yeah.
mentality, like you said. So it actually said like, if I want to be strong, I have to eat. So it just gave you a new why.
Yeah. But in saying that, I didn't, because I sort of recovered so fast, or unless I thought I did, I sort of replaced CrossFit with that.
Which a lot of
Like,
addicts do. I've also delved
mhm.
into like trail running and stuff. And if you talk to ultra runners in the trail world, a third of them, I would say, are recovered addicts of some sort, whether alcoholism or drugs. And it's just turning that one unhealthy addiction into a healthier addiction, which is good, but it's still an addiction, right?
Oh no, like I know that about myself. Like when I set my mind to something, like I'm obsessive about it, and I'll like, if I want it, like I'll make it happen. Um, and it's only been like since this past year where I haven't been able to do CrossFit that I'm like, maybe I didn't deal with all those things that started my eating disorder in the first place. And those things have all unsurfaced again. And because I'm in a different stage of my life and I'm older and I've had to deal with them, but in a different way. And it's been really tough, but I definitely think in one way or another throughout my life, like I would have had to deal with those things. Sucks that
Whether
it
it came at
was,
retirement or an injury.
yeah. So like as much as I wish that it wasn't a back injury that made me deal with them, because back injuries suck a lot, I'm glad that those things like that I had to be like front on faced with those things again.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how they would have come out later in my life.
Well, let's rewind then for a second and go back to the 2024, 2023. Well, I guess 2023. You had been to the games twice. You were doing awesome. 2023 looks so like strong for you. I feel like you really blew up like popularity wise. Your personality was coming out. People were really getting to know you. You did awesome at Wadapalooza. You did awesome at the Torian Pro. And then you show up to the games and like, what happened? I mean, at what point were you like, ooh, something doesn't quite feel right?
Honestly, like when like on that event was the first time I had felt my back.
The sandbag?
No, it was actually the event prior.
Okay.
The alpaca event was when I heard it. And I knew straight away that I was in trouble.
Was it that instant? Because I have two herniated discs. I've thrown my back out lots of times over the years. That instant, like you pick it up and you're like, ooh, almost wanted to like fall on your knees kind of pain.
Yeah. It was in like that instant that I knew that it was going to be a battle to get through the event, let alone anything else. And so I finished the alpaca event. I knew that I could, while like my adrenaline was pumping, and I was like, okay, this is really sore, but you can get through, you can finish. I went out the back and my legs pretty much gave way, and it took me maybe 30 minutes to walk back from, because we're over in North Park, back to like the athlete area. And my coach had to like walk with me, and every couple minutes we'd stop. I just have to like stand there for a bit. Like I could hardly walk. Prior to that, that year had been a big battle for me. Everything isn't always as it seems on social media.
Right.
In case you didn't know. And I actually got pneumonia right before the games that year. And it started off, I got sick traveling back to Torian. Then it pretty much just lasted the whole time and then developed into pneumonia right before the games. And I think it was my body's way of telling me, like, you need to chill out a little bit because we're running hot right now.
Right. If you
And
don't listen to your body, it has a wonderful way of making you listen.
I did not listen. I would still train through the pneumonia. I would be like on the ground after a workout, just like I couldn't, like I would be coughing fits, like could not breathe.
Mhm.
Um, it was like a really bad time also mentally because I had so many eggs in the CrossFit basket and like that had become my new obsession, my new identity, that it was just like, this can't be happening right now. Like I can't not train 2 weeks out from the CrossFit Games. And so I pushed through, and as you do, you get through it. But then at the games, like I think my body was like shutting down almost and was like, we need to stop. Because I did the sandbag event, and then I don't even remember what the last event was.
It was like
Oh
a clean ladder or something like that, right?
no,
Or
it
no, it's
was
pull-ups and running or something.
yeah, it was Helena.
Hmm.
And prior to both of those events, I couldn't walk. So the medical team would drive me in the little car back to my hotel room. My physio that was there would work on me for an hour or two. I couldn't stomach any food because I was so nauseous from the pain. I would go back out, no warm up, no food. And
And a hurt
like,
back.
I couldn't pick up a wall ball before the sandbag event, like a 20-pound wall ball.
Hmm.
Um, and then somehow miraculously, like I would go out and I would do the work. Before Helena, I couldn't jump up to the pull-up bar. I couldn't like walk. I couldn't do a snatch. Like I couldn't do anything. And then I'd go out there and I'd do it. And I think I wanted to finish the day. I knew deep down that I wasn't going to finish the games. But I'm someone that can't quit.
It's
And
called
to
the
me,
A-type personality of you want to be in
yeah,
control and you don't want your body to tell you when you can't do it. You wanted to be able to say, I'm making it through today, and then I'm making the decision to quit.
yeah. And I like knew that I was like, someone else needs to make this decision for me because I can't. And it ended up being like the medical doctors and everyone was like, you need to sit this next one out. But it was they didn't pull me out or anything. Like they said that I could still go on. And we went back that night after all those events on Friday, and we sat down and it was like, well, you can go and you can try and do the 5K, but the cuts are tonight. And if you go out and take the floor, you're taking away a spot from the person that's going to get cut. And um, it was Kelly Baker. She was in 30, I don't know, it was either 31st or 21st, whatever the cut was. And I just had to have like a real hard look at myself and be like, okay, if I was in her shoes, I think this was her first CrossFit Games, I would be so appreciative if I got another chance.
Mm.
So I pulled out that night so that she got the opportunity to be called up and go back out. And then she ended up going out and like killing it the next day. And I think she made the next cut.
Yeah, she did. It was, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
So it was really cool. And I knew I was already pretty angry because I was like, how can they make a cut but without even having a barbell?
Mm.
So I was like, I would need to give some of these strong girls like another chance to have a barbell in their hands and show everyone what they're capable of. So I was really glad that Kelly got to do that. And she came up to me and she was like so appreciative, which was really nice because
Mhm.
I was hurt and I couldn't really watch the females for the rest of that CrossFit Games. So
It
that
made
was really
you,
nice.
it's always really nice when you do somebody, like you don't do it for
Yeah.
her, but it made you feel good of like, okay, I made
Mm-hmm.
the right decision.
Yeah. No, for sure. Um, but yeah, it definitely was a journey after that
Yeah,
whole
so tell me about
experience.
that because it's been now over a year since you've competed. I know that last year you at first were going to do Wadapalooza and then decided not to. So what has that journey been like both physically and mentally for you?
It's been a roller coaster. I was in a pretty good spot last year going into Wadapalooza. I like physically, like my back was healing pretty well. I probably could have competed, but it was also a risk of re-injuring it right before the season.
Did you ever find out exactly what happened?
Like what my injury was.
Yeah.
It was just a single bulge disc.
Okay.
And so I had been to a lot of doctors and they were like, oh, it should heal. It's super mild. Like you'll be fine. And then it wasn't correlating with what was happening, in terms of like my recovery.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, is this in my head? Because like I'm still in a decent amount of pain and they're saying that it's mild.
Did you
And
ever
being
have the desire of saying, well, they say it's not a big deal, so you kind of tried to push a little bit harder than you probably should have?
exactly. And I think in my head, I was like, I mean, having my like physiotherapy degree, I was like, scans don't always mean what they say they mean. They don't always correlate to what the patient's feeling. This might not even be what's like causing my pain. So I was going to compete in Waterpalooza, and then last minute we had a serious discussion with my coaches, and they were like, "We don't think you should do it." So I didn't. Then maybe like 2 or 3 days after, I ended up after Waterpalooza, I came home and I retweaked my back on a wall ball, which was like wall balls were one of the first things that I could do again. So it was like I was feeling pretty confident with them, and then shit hit the fan again.
And it's not like you
Um,
don't know how to like brace your core and do all the things right. And you'd been working. So, I mean, you were sharing a lot of your exercises that you had been doing for so long for
mhm.
rehab. So it's just one of those crazy fluke shitholes.
Yeah, and then pretty much from then on, it was like up and down, whether I was going to go and do the season, but same thing. It was like, I can't quit. I can't make that decision for myself. Like I need someone to be like, you can't do the open. So I tried the open and I was like, you just need to get through. We don't need to do any crazy things here. Like you're going to get top 10%. Just like do the workouts. And the workouts were super hingy, and I like really did my back again, like bad. And so I pretty much did the second workout, got on my laptop and booked a flight home. I was like, my season's over. I need my family right now.
Mhm.
Like I need my family and the Australian air. Um and I went home without a ticket like back to the
Oh,
States.
wow. Uh-huh.
Not like I knew I was coming back,
For sure.
but
You just didn't know when.
I was like, I'm not gonna limit my healing time. Like I'm gonna go home and so I did that and that was really great. I was back for 2 months. And got to spend some like good quality time with my family and friends, which I hadn't done for years and years because whenever I was home, I was always training. So the last time that I got to spend quality time with them was before I even started CrossFit. So it was really nice. Definitely hard to do, but I needed that separation from the CrossFit world. Like I just couldn't deal with it.
I'm always stressing
Um,
to my clients of when you have an injury, focus on the things that you can do versus focusing on the things you can't do. So during this period, what were some little like highlights to your day or your time that made things a little bit better? Whether it's going to get a cup of coffee that you like to do or focusing more on yoga or something like that, that kind of made you think, okay, I do have great things that I can focus on right now.
I think Theo, our dog, was a big part in that. Um, he, as a pup, was not great at not eating things that he shouldn't. He actually had 2 bowel obstruction surgeries, both when I was away. He ate something when I was away. It was like his way of like making me come home, I think.
Sure.
Um, but knowing that he needed me and like having something to look after and like unconditional love
Mhm.
um was like a big factor for me this year. And I also started doing exercise. I say exercise because it was like things that, because I mean, I love exercising. So I just needed to find that like love for moving my body again without like thrashing myself every day. Um, so like nice walks and Pilates and um like bike riding and all those things that I could still do that just made me feel good and made my body feel good.
I always
So I
wondered when I would watch the YouTube videos that Justin puts up. So if you guys didn't know, her partner is Justin Medeiros. How often, or if not, because I'm sure he's super supportive, but having to watch him and the team work out, did you ever have like serious FOMO? Or were you like, yeah,
oh
just do
yeah.
your thing, it's fine?
Yeah. I think at those periods where I just had to be like, I need to distance myself from like watching this. I was okay if I could just like have that space. Um, I think part of why we work so well is we genuinely love this, like what we do and doing it together. So it was really hard watching him train and go through those processes and me not being able to be there with him doing it and supporting him. Um, I mean, I definitely supported him in other ways, but I wasn't able to in like the training partner sense. And I had a lot of like guilt over that. So, yeah, I have to have those things where I would be like, okay, I'm going to take Theo into the foothills and go on a hike while you do this session because like this one's going to be really hard for me to watch. If he was like running through like semis prep or like something like that, I was like, I need to be able to go, come back. I can hear about it. You can debrief to me like a normal couple would, but I'm sorry, I can't watch it.
Yeah.
And he was super supportive over that. And like, I think that's the benefit of having a partner that's doing the same thing is like they completely understand where you're coming from. And they are probably one of the only, like, there's not many other people that would understand where I'm coming from, but he does. So, that's been really good.
That's awesome. And so now we're in January of 2025. How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling really good. I'm finally making some good progress with my back. I'm going to try and compete this year. I'm not putting any pressure on myself in terms of like what competitions and how this year is going to shape out. I don't have a goal of making the games or anything like that. I'm just going to try and enjoy the sport again, enjoy competing. But yeah, I'm finally at a place where I'm like, I look forward to coming back into the gym. I look forward to like grinding it out and being exhausted again. And I'm in like a really good place.
Do you feel like the little demons that you didn't know were still inside, you've now been able to work out over the past year and a half?
Yeah, I definitely like, I mean, I think it's a constant work
Yeah.
like in progress, but I feel super confident that they're just going to keep improving.
And as
And
someone who's been there, I will tell you now, as someone who's a little bit older, it's always in the back of your head, but as you get older, you acknowledge it and you have the power. Instead of trying to hide it and suppress it, you recognize it and say, that's not the life that I want to live. And you're able
yeah,
to move on.
yeah, I think I've definitely made like leaps and bounds. I think I was willing to sacrifice anything to be the best in CrossFit. Whereas now I still have those desires to do as well as I can, but I just have a hard line in the sand of like, I'm going to do everything I can, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my health and my happiness. And once those things start deteriorating, like that's me done. Like I'm not going to sacrifice those things anymore. So I've definitely made like big strides, still work to be done, but like I'm in a really good place heading into this year. So I'm like excited again, which is really nice.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for you. And so the real question comes down to, do you understand the CrossFit Games situation this year?
Nope. I have no idea because I literally was asking. I'm like, okay, so if I do like this competition and I get an invite to it, do I still have to do the open or like?
I think you still have to be in the top like
Yeah,
5% or something, right? Or
yeah.
10%?
It's on like, and I could sit down and have a really like detailed look at it, but I'm just like, you know
One step
what?
at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time. I'm sure people will let me know
I
where
think
I'm
that's
meant
what
to be and
all,
when.
it sounds like that's all the athletes are saying, the ones that I've heard
Yeah,
interviews with and stuff. They're like, I don't know,
yeah,
someone's just going to have to tell me.
yeah, pretty much.
And then what else was I going to ask you? I had another question about your training coming up. I don't know. But on a more fun note, I know that you guys are coffee snobs over there.
Yeah.
So will you explain what does it mean? Because obviously American, what is a long, short, and all of that in coffee speak?
Yeah, so
Or a long
in a
black? Is that right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
a long black is an Americano. So
Okay.
it's literally just like hot water and then a shot of espresso on top.
Okay. That's okay.
That's a
Long
long
black.
black.
Okay.
That's what we would say in Australia. And then a short black is just like minimal water, like half a long black, really. So you just put in a little bit of hot water and the shot of espresso.
Okay. And so what's your go-to coffee drink?
A long black. So an
A long black.
Americano. Yeah.
Okay. And then Justin's is a latte, right? Which is so
Justin's,
funny to say out
yeah,
loud
yeah, yeah. When we go to a cafe, they always will bring me the latte and him the Americano.
because they just assume.
And yeah, and he gets so annoyed. He always waits till they walk off and then switches them out.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Out of all the events that are coming up, because there's so many different things now this year, what are you most excited to either try to participate in or just to watch in general?
Ooh, I'm excited to see how the World Fitness Project plays out.
Yeah.
I think we're all like pretty eager to watch that. I'm also excited. I'm debating heading back to Torian. I'm excited to just see that competition again because by far my favorite. Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was going to ask, and that perfect timing because we have about 5 minutes. Now, I know that you're physiotherapist by trade, physical
Hmm.
therapist, as we say here in America. Is
Yeah.
that something that you are going to go back to when you're done being a competitive athlete, and how does that also relay into your own training?
I don't really know. I don't have a set plan, but I do know that I want to use the knowledge somehow.
Mhm.
I don't know in what capacity that will look like, but I don't know if I'll ever be like
You don't want to
working
be
in
like
a
a Pat
clinic.
Vellner where you're doing both things at once.
Nah, I don't think so. But I do want to use that knowledge to help in some ways. I just haven't figured out like how yet.
Mhm.
Um, and then in terms of like how it helps in my training, I think it helps with like I can identify early on if there's like something I can be like, oh, I need some like isometric exercises or I need to like do more of XYZ. But it can also be a hindrance because I do know what's going on in my body. So sometimes it's like I pay too much attention to that.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a plus and a minus.
Yeah. I would say the biggest plus is probably like, a lot of people are, oh, my knee hurts, so I can't run. Versus as
Yeah.
a physical therapist, you're like, oh, my knee hurts. I probably have a tight hamstring or quad.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
Like, let's roll it out and then it's done. So then
Yeah.
what's your favorite rehab tool that you have access to?
I'd say probably, I mean, we're very fortunate. We have both a sauna and a cold plunge at our house. And I'd say that's probably made the biggest difference in terms of like how I feel on a daily basis. Like I love doing some contrast therapy.
It's too cold in life to make yourself miserably cold, like on purpose.
I know, but like I was the same way, but it's just like the benefit that I experience
Yeah.
from it is just like worth it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. During the summer, it's fine. I can do
Hmm.
cold therapy. But during the winter, it's like I made the joke last week that I was like, I'm going to start taking cold showers again. And then I walked out of my shower and it's totally fogged up because I didn't even turn the cold nozzle on, like the
Yeah.
littlest bit. Like one
Yeah.
day
No,
I'll get back to it.
it's hard. I actually don't mind it in the cold because it's cold outside anyway. So it doesn't, you get out the sauna and you're like, okay, well, it's cold outside. It's not that much of a difference getting in the cold plunge, but it still sucks. Yeah.
And then two questions that I have left for you. Question number one, who inspires you? It doesn't have to be an athlete. It can be just anybody. Who inspires you to be the best person that you can be?
I mean, I would probably say Justin. I'd say he like definitely like inspires me to be better.
Yeah, it's a good one. I would say my husband as well.
Yeah.
They're the ones that
Definitely.
can see who we can be versus just who we are sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then what's the piece of advice that you would give other women who are going through pain and injury right now and they're thinking to themselves, I'm never going to be able to do the things that I want to do. I'm stuck how I am right now. I'm never going to recover.
That's a tough one.
We all go through it. When you're injured, that's how you feel.
Yeah. When you're in it, it's really tough. I think doing one thing each day that like you're either going to be proud of or you're going to enjoy. Or like that gives you like that sense of accomplishment or like satisfaction. Just like one thing, and like sometimes that thing you really don't want to do, and because you do it, you get that like that little endorphin dopamine because you've done it. As hard as it may feel or like be. And like sometimes that is as simple as like doing your rehab because like it's boring, it sucks, it's not fun.
You're thinking, how is it actually going to help me?
Yeah.
They're so easy, but it does.
You can go to bed like that night being like, I did what I needed to do today to get better and like to move me forward. And then some days that's as simple as just like getting up and having a shower.
Or taking the dog for a walk because he still needs to go for a walk.
Yeah, that might be all you can do that day, but just like one thing that you pick to accomplish and you do it.
Love it. All right, Ellie, how can people connect with you? Where are you?
I'm on Instagram, just Ellie Beck Turner, and that's about it. I go through, a lot of my messages get sent to requests. I try and go through them and sort them out. Sometimes they get like lost a little bit. So if I don't reply, try sending me a couple. Hopefully it gets sent to the top of the list. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out and making time for me today. I'm happy that you get to relax, hopefully, for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to continue to follow you, see your story, how everything plays out, and hopefully get to see you compete this year.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you, lady.
See ya.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
What'd you guys think? I actually want to say that I think was one of my favorite interviews that I've done, at least in a really long time. I loved how transparent she was, how open she was to share her journey, and hopefully you guys did as well. Make sure to follow Ellie along on her journey. I'll make sure to put all of her socials down below. And again, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. I put out new episodes every single week, and there's some really fun and exciting opportunities that are going to be coming your way soon. But the only way to know about it is if you're following along. So make sure to subscribe. And then, of course, like always, leave a comment below letting me know a question that you would like covered on the episode, or if there is somebody that you've seen lately and you're like, man, I'd really love to know more about that person, and you think that they'd be a good fit, comment down below and I will reach out to them and see if they'd like to be on the show. All right, guys, thank you so much. Mwah! Bye.